Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us all the way to the end of the RIPE meeting. This is the technical report from the RIPE meeting. Tech team, RIPE meeting. Tech team are these 8 gentlemen. So from the right, it's Marco Fantol, Ihor, Sjoerd Osdijk, who is actually the technical team coordinator for this meeting, Rob de Meester, Xavier Lebris, Luca Gentile, Andrea Dimena, and myself, Ondřej Caletka, who is just presenting it, but I'm not chairing it. In general, we prepare this meeting 3 days in advance, so most of us arrived on Friday, and we bring a lot of stuff. We actually fill one big car with flight cases. We bring 2 super micro servers that are running all the network equipment. We bring a lot of access points, some cables, some Raspberry Pis, presentation kits that are playing the presentation, and as well some power blocks, and of course gaffer tape that is keeping everything together. And it's not a duct tape, because duct tape would not be able to take off. This is quite easy to take off and doesn't leave stains. First, let's talk about power. That's a topic that appears regularly, and in this meeting it was quite interesting. So first of all, since RIPE 84, since the first RIPE meeting that was after COVID break, we don't deploy power blocks anymore to the theater part of the rooms, but we do deploy power blocks to the desks in the front of the room. So if you are in urgent need of power, please find a seat at the desk, and there is power. We are not planning to do it because, first of all, it's a lot of work. Also, having power blocks on the floor means that they might get spilled something into, which might trip circuit breaker. And in general, we generally have problems with power reliability in the venues. So let's not make the problem worse. Also, the batteries are getting better, and the CPUs are getting less hungry. So maybe update your hardware to something that will last for a day, and you are done. Speaking of power, this hotel is apparently known for its power outages, because we sent our router 1 month in advance to check that the peering works and the internet works very well, because we bring our own autonomous system and our own set of addresses. And during that 4 weeks, it actually went down twice. So we are very happy that it didn't happen throughout the meeting week, even though there is this very interesting button at the front entrance of the hotel. And I'm very glad that no one from you has tried what happens if they press it. There's also this cable that we found when we were going to take the picture of the generator, and no one from the technical team was brave enough to find out whether that cable is live or not, so we don't know. That will be probably secret forever. Now, speaking of generator, that's the elephant in the room, let's say. It turned out that, the electricity of this hotel is not suitable enough for running the show. So the guy from the AV company that is responsible for setting up the screens and audio here basically told us, well, I would not even plug an iPhone charger into the hotel sockets. So we had this generator that is running this main room and the side room. It's behind that behold, you can see it from the lunch area, and it reports during that break when only the screens were on, it reports 10 kilowatts of power, which if I just do an engineering calculation, it sort of makes sense, because this screen is like 1,000 pixels tall and about 5,000 pixels wide. So basically, you can say that one column of pixel basically eats 1 watt, which sort of like makes sense. We have 2 of them, so it's 5 kilowatts per each of the screen. But of course, there is also lots of other resource-hungry technology. So 1 LED here should be like 1,000th of watt, which, considering the heat coming from this, is probably correct. So let's talk about the meeting network. The part we bring with us, this is how it looks like from the logical point of view. So we have up to 2 edge routers. Right now we have only one because we somehow only got one point-to-point link to our upstream provider. But we are ready for 2 edge routers. We have NAT64 box. We have firewall, and behind firewall we have lots of access points, DNS resolvers, DNS load balancers, and other stuff like presentation kit and or stenography or everything that needs to run from our network. The network runs on open source, so there are basically everything is running on Linux servers with standard like open source tool that you can use as well. So we don't use much more proprietary things. I will not read this list because let's concentrate on something more interesting. So some discoveries that we made, for instance, the edge router, which is getting full BGP feed, so we can do RPKI validation on our side, is running Oracle Linux 9, and Oracle Linux 9 by default is using Network Manager for configuring network interfaces. And it turns out Network Manager really doesn't like if your routing table is full of full BGP feed, because it listens to netlink messages, and it basically eats a lot of CPU cycles just to process the fact that your routing table is full. So what we do as a workaround right now is that after the machine boots up, we just stop Network Manager, because, to be honest, we don't really need it. Like putting IP editor into the RC local would work for us as well as anything else. We just need to set up static IP addresses, and that is it. We don't do anything more. This is how the physical network topology looks like in this hotel. It is very simple. We have basically 2 big Juniper switches in the server room, 1 MikroTik switch in as our core switch. We very like this device. It's a 4-port 10 gig MikroTik switch for very little amount of money. And then we have some small switches here and there. So this is how the physical infrastructure looked like. So on the left picture, you see the 2 super micro servers, and on top our core switch of the MikroTik. That optical fiber is the upstream. Then on the middle picture, you see our 2 Juniper switches on top of the rack, and then on the third picture, you see my colleague Marco patching access points and other stuff into the patch panel of the hotel. So basically, this all the cables from all the rooms here are ending up in one room. So this hotel is very simple in that sense, and most of the cables work. And the hotel has provided us with Excel sheet that is mapping the socket numbers on the wall with the patch port numbers in the patch panel. So this was like considering previous meetings when they painted walls, and then we have like 1 working patch cable to the whole room. This is like completely different story. So we deployed 37 access points, most in the first floor, some of them also in the ground floor where the workspace was. And according to my experience, it worked very well everywhere. I even tried like some speed tests during when the room was full, and it still ran about 200 something Mbits, which is the limit of the technology that we use for access points. We are running 3 or 4 Wi-Fi network as you take it. So the main network is 5 gigahertz only. It uses this IPv6 mostly stuff that is very fancy and works very well for us. Then we have legacy network for people with some problems. This networks is actually 2 networks, so it's in 5 gigahertz and also 2.4 gigahertz, and they use different SSIDs, so you can explicitly choose which one you want. And we are on this experimental network, which is also 5 gigahertz only, and it has no support of V4, so it's the internet of the future. Compared to the previous right meeting, we had quite a bigger amount of dual stack users in the IPv6 mostly network. It changed during the week, so I guess maybe it's the fact that this is the bigger meeting. There are more devices here, and maybe people also bring some older devices. I'm not really sure what it can be, what can be the cause, but well, something about this. Speaking of IPv6 mostly network, I have run a poll on Mastodon on Tuesday, and yeah, I'm sort of like happy with the results because they were completely wrong. I was asking this question that we have 527 devices on the network, and so people should guess how many DHCP releases we have active at that moment with the release time of 4,000 seconds, and the correct answer is 85. So definitely the lowest out of the 4 options that were presented. So this is, as you see, if you are considering IPv6 mostly, go for it, because you can get rid of at least 80% of your IPv4 pool, and you can basically narrow it down, make it much more smaller. Then we have some complaints that are repeating every single meeting. People are complaining that there is not enough coverage in the toilets and in the launch area. And I would just say, how about no? How about using these rooms for their original purpose?
This is damage to the digestive tract.
Thank you, Rudiger. Yeah, so no, we are not going to deploy access point to toilets, and we are not going to deploy access point to lunch area, because at lunch you should eat lunch and then you should go away, because the table has to be empty for someone else. This is not a coffee place, this is a lunch area. And the legacy network. This is something that, we really don't like people using, but we still offer it because we want people to do their work if they really want, and their computer is somehow broken, so it cannot work on the main network. So this is the only network that still supports 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi and VPA2, in case your device has problem with VPA3 mixed mode Wi-Fi. That's the other one. People mostly use it for VPN configurations, which are usually broken on their side. And I have to say, I received during the week a report from one person that basically said, yeah, we had this broken Palo Alto VPN client, and we fixed it during the week, and now it works. So this is exactly the reason why we run the network like this, so people can fix their stuff during that week. But we are always happy to hear your reasoning why you switch to legacy network. You can always drop us email. And if it's something with your software that you are running or your VPN configuration, maybe drop email to your IT department, let's say.
Well, actually, this old network
sorry,
is
who are you?
gigahertz. Oh, Vladislav Vodopian, sorry.
We are doing IETF here, sort of. So, okay. Okay, let's keep the questions to the end, because, yeah, we are running out of time a little bit. Maybe also join the Meeteco queue. That's also the thing that we have here. You are supposed to do it even if you are in the room. Almost nobody did. But yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. So let me just finish my presentation, and after that we will do with the question. Because I have another interesting thing. Maybe you remember from the previous RIPE meeting that there was this thing that some people reported to us, that they tried to open GitHub or DuckDuckGo in Safari on their macOS, and they just get this very offensive message saying basically that it was blocked by RIPE-NTG. Yeah, and then we, and by we I mean me, spent like literally months trying to figure out why is this happening. The good news was that I was able to reproduce it even when we returned the network to the office. Long story short, after a few months, it is a concurrency bug in not resolver that happens only under very specific condition. If you want to play with it, or if you want to debug complicated concurrency bugs, there is a bug report here. Click on it and look at it. So far it's not fixed, so we had to look for a stand-in DNS resolver. We wanted a resolver that can do DNSSEC, that can do DNS64, but only for particular clients, and that can do DOT, so Android can benefit from it, and DOH for iOS and macOS and Windows. And it turned out everything, all the boxes are ticked by bind. Who would expect it? That the bind is actually supporting everything we need. So thank you, ISC people. Perfect. The only thing we don't have now, Bind doesn't report yet stats per DOH and DOT and UDP, so we don't have detailed stats how many people are using DOH. But I guess they should, probably, because it should report. We had this not so nice feature. I was pointed out on Monday that we are not validating DNSSEC, and it turns out that the language of configuration is a little bit cryptic, because if you want validation, well, you set DNSSEC validation to yes, except that if you send it to, set it to yes and you don't set up trust anchor manually, it will not validate. You have to set it up to auto. So easy fix, and we are validating now. What we also did is that we did brownout of DNS 6.4 on Thursday, because there was IPv6 working group. Jen Linkova talked about that maybe DNS 6.4 is not needed, so we just gave it a try. For most of you, you didn't notice. There are some people who noticed, mostly people with macOS 12 and 13, which is dependent on it, and also some Linux users with specific config. That's about network. Let's quickly go through the presentation system. We have two Mac Minis playing presentations, and the metric switcher that is switching its slides and also showing preview in this lectern, which is very handy. And we have this timer, which the chair should be setting up for me, but they didn't, so I have unlimited time. That's perfect. Well, I will try to keep it short, because, well, we all want to go home. Yeah, and I did this mistake that I just didn't switch to the right slide. So I was talking about the previous slide when I was actually going to show this one. We have this, really? Okay. So this is how it's wired, in case you are interested. And we have some innovations. So first of all, we reconfigured the matrix switcher to produce full HD instead of 720. I have fixed the test pattern, so they are now 16:9, so you don't see the distorted circles anymore. That was the major improvement already previous meeting, but we didn't mention it. And of course, this is the first meeting with this LED screen, which I think is awesome. Yeah, unless you see some dead pixels here and there, which once you see, you cannot unsee, so I'm just pointing it now and then you go. But now it's the end, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think it's awesome, and I hope we will get the same thing next time as well. Unfortunately, sometimes things don't work, and one of the embarrassing moments was the general meeting, where we just failed to play MP4 video that played normally on our laptops, but on either of those Mac Minis. Not only they didn't play, but they also locked up them in a way that they need hard reset. We really don't know what happened, but yeah, sometimes you have to think out of the box. So this is Shure picking up audio, because we have HDMI cable here, but we are not set up for receiving audio from HDMI cable here. So basically, Shure made use of this microphone to pick up the sound and play the video from his laptop. So after all, it worked. Yeah. Sometimes the technology just. And then, last topic, which I think deserves some coverage, and that is live stenography, which we all love. It's not AI. It's actually normal. It's actually not artificial. It's actually natural intelligence of those lovely people here that are with us, and yes, that's exactly it. That are with us since Live 56 in Berlin, since 2008. Mary, who is now typing everything I say. And I always wonder what happens if I start reading it, and we will get to Inception. They are with us since Mary, who is now typing everything I say. I always wonder what if I start reading it. So she gave a talk about this in Rev 73. Look it up in the archive if you want to know details how what exactly she is doing here. But I have put this diagram here to figure out so you can see how it actually works. So what Mary is doing here is she's typing on this interesting machine that has only 24 keys. She's typing in shorthand, and this machine is connected via USB to a box, which is doing basically USB over IP. The same box is also connecting to a microphone, so there's also feed of audio going from the hall to this USB over IP, and this USB over IP extender extends this over our meeting network to the backstage room where they have the scoping laptop, and they're basically a second person This laptop has a client for the USB over IP, so it receives the, basically it appears that the devices are connected to that laptop, and the laptop is doing the translation from the shorthand to proper English, and it's being fixed while it's written, and streamed to the streamtext.net, which is cloud service, third party, and the streamtext.net offers a web page that we just show using Raspberry Pi full page OS on the screen over there. So that's how it works from the technical point of view. And I would say, can Whisper do this? Because Whisper is the most famous speech-to-text model from OpenAI that it will probably eventually replace job of stenographers. But yeah, I don't think it will learn to break the fourth wall and put these comments there on the screen, where every time you figure out that the room bursts in laughter because this happened. Anyway, now we don't have any much more time, so let's go for statistics. Yeah, thank you. That is for the stenographers, of course. The statistics, yeah, we have some hundreds Mbits. We have 25K NAT64 sessions. We have 699 Wi-Fi clients in the main network at most, and we have at most 146 DHCP leases. Meet echo stats, 57% over V6. It's a little bit less than previous. We don't really know. Very nice barista this time. And with that, I would just show credits of some RIPE-SNC employees that are very responsible for this meeting. So not only tech team, but there's a web team taking care of web pages. There's a comms team which is taking care of all the artwork that you see everywhere. There is Meet Echo team which is taking care of the live streaming and remote presentations. And last but not least, our lovely stenographers and our lovely coordinators that are taking care that this meeting is running. That's everything. Well deserved. So that's everything from us. Have a safe trip home. Hopefully no unexpected storms and heavy rainfall. And maybe we have 1 minute for a question.
Okay, I'm going to close the lines immediately because we're running out of time. But let's start from here.
Hello, Vladislav Vodopian. What do you use as Wi-Fi controller? Is it a hardware key or is it some Linux machine running controller software?
It's a Debian VM running on the servers running the Unify controller.
Thank you. And sorry that I interrupted. I wanted just to quick point out that Wi-Fi 2.4 network was the only network that had coverage in toilets and partially in the dining room, which could probably explain why people were using it.
Yeah. And that is also the reason why we change the SSID every meeting, so people don't use it by accident.
Yeah. Hi, Sander Stefan, speaking for myself. Whoever figured out to make the Palo Alto Global Connect client work properly, please write an article on RIPE Labs.
Great idea, yes.
Cynthia.
I just have to say that...
Wait.
Oh,
who are you?
Sorry. Cynthia Revström. I just have to say that I think it's extremely cursed that you're using USB over IP for this. And I really enjoy that. Thank you.
Tamás PCH. So one comment on the Wi-Fi coverage. The thing is that in the lunch area there were like no phone reception, at least for me at all. So depending on what your work is, that might be okay or not. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's still like you can have your lunch in a few minutes only.
Sergei Nasaredov, speaking for myself, what happened to the music during the breaks?
The music, well, we got some complaints about it. People just didn't like Happy Friend Jazz. And, well, there was a queue saying like they should start playing it now, but no, we don't ready for it. No, we don't run it. Well, we are still happy without Happy Friend Jazz.
Thanks. Okay, and we have a few things online. So Robert Sheck from ETES, not a question, but a note. It's almost like a comment. You mentioned that running Network Manager on a server with a full BGP feed causes high CPU load. We run into the same issue in March, and Red Hat support told us that the time that we are the only customer reporting this, we received a fixed Network Manager package from them exactly 17 days ago, which will land in Red Hat Enterprise 9.5 to be released shortly after RIPE 89. please
Oh,
let me know if you're interested.
That
in
is really
details.
cool. Can you please send this to opsmtg@rai.net, the email address that is on the screen?
Yeah. So hopefully, Robert, you heard that. Sian Miao from Misaka IO. Since the network is single homed to SNet, would it be easier to accept the default route only? Might even use less power.
It would be easier, but then we couldn't do RPKI filtering. Even though RPKI filtering on stub network is a little bit discutable whether it has some advantage there.
And Nico Braud Santoni from Funkflyer Graz. When you said the DNS64 is not needed, do you mean it's not needed on the local network's caching resolver? I guess the device's stub resolver does the DNS64 translation itself instead.
I would refer to the Jen link of us talk in IPv6 working group when she talked about that, what exactly it means. So the answer is hopefully there.
Okay, that's that.
Very good.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much.
Andre. That was really interesting.